Incremental readings. This is the 27th section of the Pleasurable guide to SuperMemo. So basically the last one that offers contents about SuperMemo, because the next one is the outro. And this is the only exception in the Fluency cycle that we repeat, because we have introduced templates and styling already in the 11th section. Now we just continue. We could have done this before, but I didn't want to add an extra hour or two before going to the main sauce. So here in this section, we will see more or less the operations we can do. Save current element, saving as default, detach a template and its use cases, impose a template and its use cases, deeper meaning, and so on. Then template naming convention, something optional that I really suggest, and then my own example. Then the minimum template registry, again, something that I coined for years, but it's optional. But it's so you can have a better flow, that you don't take that many decisions. It's easier to automate, and you automate most of the time. Then how to locate items with no template. It's not that easy, it's not a button. You need to do some operations. And then we'll introduce the custom style editor and convert this to styling manually, externally with CSS, plain code. And then just one use case, that is to style the references. As in a sneak peek, hey, this is what can be possible, but everything is possible. Well, not everything. Everything that Internet Explorer 6 or 7 could do. The rest will be on the mastery. Hey, I want to have the same styling of a website, or I want to style the headers so I can see this visually as I do. All of this, mastery. So as you can see, there's not much, to be honest. We just continue, hey, how can I know if I have a template applied? Or if I am in the registry, how do I know if this template is for topics or items? That's why it's convenient to have conventions. That's why it's still worth for the fluency. So without further ado, let's start the section. So we continue with templates. We have seen templates before, and even templates operations. We're going now to see templates and styling, like the second take. And it's at the end of the course. The only thing left is the outro. So with this, we will finish the fluency track already. And I split this, the templates, so now it's about to make it pretty and understand advanced features, but I didn't want to do this before covering incremental reading and all of this. So we could have done this before. It's not that advanced. This will be on the mastery track, the obscure stuff. Then we'll resume the templates with something quite easy, that is modifying built-in templates. So instead of starting from scratch, I will get one that already exists and make it my own. Awesome. Then in my collection, what happens that in my collection, I already did this. Do you see? They look different. Okay. So then we will go to a new collection. So now I have the default registry. And let me start with article. Okay. So what you can do now is, hey, don't edit anything on the registry. Even if you have the menu, don't do it. So what I'm going to do now is create an element type, topic this case, that uses this template. Yeah, let's have the article, which by the way is the same. Okay. Then, if I right click, and now I change the color to black, let's say a dark theme. Okay, do you see it still says article? Okay. If I go back, it's still article. Cool. Then let me go to the registry. Here the article, hey, now it's black. So remember, if one element has a template applied and I modify it, I'm affecting all of the elements that have this template applied. If I don't want that, is what we will see in this section, that I can detach, impose, templates, and so on. That's the beauty of the advanced features. So let's say that I only wanted to do this and the size. Remember, Control E, we have seen this already. And I don't want to read that horizontally, I don't want to move my head, so I will make it like this. And here, that's an HTML component, then I will need to change the style. That's my default. For now, I will just leave it because we will cover the styling as well. So we'll take it more incremental. Even if it's very mild, at least I have customized already an existing template. You notice that I didn't save any template at all. I didn't click Save Template as or anything, right? Because you are modifying already existing templates. This is the easiest way to do it. No menus, no options. You don't need to understand how they work. You just make it your own, and it already exists and is overwritten. Fine with me. We're going to see now a quick trick that how can you tell if the current element that is in the element window has a template first, and which template it is, if that is a template, right? Okay. So remember the layouts. We have the course and so on. Here we have the element data window. You have a few tabs, but the tab you want is the status, the last one, and here it says no template. If you don't have this at all times, the element data, what you can do is Ctrl-Shift-P for the parameters, and here it will say the template, says none. Now, if I go to a different place, it says item. And here in the parameter window, it says item. I suggest to have this at all times, so you just pick. There's no need to summon window, take a peek, and close it down. You just that's it, item. That's why, if, for instance, I do a detach, it still says item, it doesn't refresh. But if I go to the parameters, it's refreshed, and element data will refresh the next time I have the element. So I need to go somewhere else, go back, and it will be refreshed. It's the only downside. So remember, the parameters, it's always up to date. It refreshes. And now you cannot apply the template or do anything with the template because this is a dialog and it will prevent any editing. So this will always be true. And element data, keep in mind that if you do some operations, might be not up to date. So do Alt left, Alt right, and then take a peek. That's how you know which template the element is using, if it's using a template. So you know both, if it's using a template and which one, in case it does. Easy. So we have been working with templates. Now that we have worked with templates, now the question is, okay, sometimes it's not obvious for which element type the template is. There are different ways you can deduce that or know that. First, very obvious, is the title. That's why it's convenient to keep this in the name, have consistency in the nomenclature and some convention. So when it's article, you can change it to topic if you want. Hey, article means topic. Add template for topics. Items for items and task for task, right? But if it's video, I'm not sure. I will say article video, article YouTube or whatever to have this consistency. Okay, then there's a second level that you can guess, make an educated guess which element type there is. And it's very easy. You know we have different components here. So usually the items, like for instance occlusion, how do I know this is meant for items? You could have also topics with that, by the way. It's because there are two HTML or plain text components. The default are one on top of each other. Could be also sideways, depends on how you do your own templates, but at least since I suggest from the very beginning to use a nomenclature, you won't have this issue. Then it's about the built-in or the ones, for instance, if you buy the Advanced English collection, the templates of that collection, what would that be, right? Multiple choice. I know it's an item. It contains more than one, right? So link. Can you take a guess? This is very likely meant for a topic. Perhaps a concept or a task, you don't know, right? But it's not an item. There's no question and answer, right? Awesome. So remember, the name specifically or the number of the components, at least you can tell apart items for non-items. Then another option that you can take a guess is, if you go to the concept registry, you can go to your concepts and see this. Item, topic, and task templates. Spelling is a task template? I didn't know that, right? Because the name was not giving me it was not obvious for that. I mean, it's not the case, but it's an example. How come all of the concepts are using the spelling template, right? Doesn't make much sense. Oh, it's an item. So that's how you know that, hey, the article is a topic template, the spelling is a task template. You can deduce this. Not that you're going to forget your own collection, but I don't know. If you use a shared collection, or it's been some years and you don't want to double check, it's something you can use. And that's more or less everything. And there's one final case that is just directly applied. Sometimes, depends on the SuperMemo version, you'll have a pop-up, hey, you're trying to apply a topic template in an item, are you sure? Then you know, oh, it's a topic template. So that's a topic. If now apply an item template, do you see? Template types differs from the element type. I had the topic and the element and the template I want to apply, it's an item. I can still apply it if I really want to, but usually I will mess up because that means I will have more components, because an item expects an answer, stuff like that. It's no, sorry, I don't want to. And you cancel. So that is the latest test you can do, is to actually apply that, let's say you remember that the spelling, is that not an item, but a task template? Hey, it doesn't complain. That means it's in fact an item template, and what it did is some cheating for the sake of this video, because here you can put whatever you want. So the task, here the SuperMemo doesn't actually verify that the template you put for tasks is for tasks, or that the one you put for topics is actually a topic template. It just accepts whatever you do. Remember that. So that has been all of how you can tell or guess the element type of any given custom or built-in template. We have seen how we can edit an existing template. Now we are going to see how you can create new templates. So this is my article, right? Article for what? With no images and so on. The basic article for topics. Okay, so what you can do, if I want multiple ones, is right-click, template, save as template, the first option. And I will call it, by default you have the name of the title of the element. No, this is article dark. Nice. By the way, during all of these section of the course, we will keep all of the templates we do. There's continuity among videos. Okay. So now, if I go to the registry, article dark is there. Nice. But then you realize, hey, wait a second. It didn't apply so I saved the template as a template registry member in the registry, but it didn't apply it in the element. Do you see it says article? If I come back to refresh the user interface, actually it did. In this case, it was not the best example because I didn't touch even the color. Nice. Then we will keep updating this because what's left is the styling. The styling is not dark. No worries. There are more videos upcoming. And remember, something that is implicit, is not even seen in the screen, is the element type. So what we have saved is a template for topics because the element was a topic. Now, let me put topic here. Okay, now if I make a closation, so I have an item, what is this? It's the template. Remember, I'm using the hook, the concept, because it's a new collection. The concept is not setting, doesn't have the auto apply. Okay, always remember that. But no worries, I will take my chance, my opportunity, because since it was no template, it has inherited the background. Okay, cool. So then I will just save it as dark. Save as template, and I will put item dark. Here you go. What was a mistake, now we have saved. I have skipped one step. Okay, cool. Nice. So now if I come back to the item, it says item dark, and it's in the registry, item dark. But it doesn't tell me which element type it is. That's why I always suggest to put it in the name. So if it was the mastery track and we will have covered tasks, I will call task dark or dark task. Depends on what you want to see first. All of the dark put together or by element type and then dark, light, language, whatever. The default you will see is not consistent. Multiple choice doesn't say item. Or the RTF, please don't do this. Don't use this, it's obsolete. Says article and item after it, not at the beginning. Nice, even though it's not the point of this video. So now we have used save as template for both topics and items, and it's what you're going to do. It's unlikely you'll do other element types, albeit possible. Now we have seen how to change a template that already exists and save a new one. Now we're going some extra mile and we're going to do save as default. It says save the current element as the default template for the current concept group. Ooh. Let's see what it is. Concept group, we only have one, it's the root. Is item an article. So let's say that now I want the dark themes. So item dark and article dark. The task, I don't even care about that. Awesome. So I can click here and select item dark. Nice. And for the topic, I could do the same. Or what I could do is I go to this one. This element is using the article dark, and if I go template, then save as default, there's no key binding, by the way, and I need to use the same name. It's capital T. It got topic, by the way, because that's the title. Remember this. This could be misleading. Because the name has a capital T. Nope. Remember, the item templates, they say items. But for the topic, they say article. They don't use the same name. I did this on purpose, by the way, to create this trap. Article dark. I think I did capital D. Now we will see. If it says it exists, yes, it was like a capital D. That's why a consistent naming convention, it's actually super good. Do you want to replace? I didn't change it, so. And let's see what happened now. Now if I go to the concept, hey, it has the article dark. So which one you will prefer? Now, in this case, it's redundant. It will have been a lot easier to click here and select from the registry. But what I did with save as default is the use case is when you want to do two actions into one. Hey, I know I want the dark or whatever, or I want a specific template. Let's say now I create another concept, language. And it will be yellow. So instead of saving the template first, article, language, as we have seen in the previous video, and then go to the registry, concept, default, the language, I can do the two actions into one. But wait a second, let me set the group, so it's language for real. Okay. Now it's using the language. Okay, so now it's, yeah. Let me change this, who has no template, as I am only modifying the colors for simplicity. I could add component, if it's language, I will add an sound component and all of this, but since it's the Fluency track, let's keep it simple. Nice. And then right click, template, save as default. Instead of template, is as default, I will do the same action, article, language, but I have done the next step, that is go to the concept registry, select the concept, and now go here. The default template is already assigned. And one last detail, why on earth is the item dark default here? This is an obscure feature, I think, or a bug, I don't even know. I think it's not documented. What happened is that you see now I have item dark article language. So if I create a new concept, new group, it will inherit the latest used. Huh. Why? So remember this fact. When you create a concept, if you had something out of the default, item and article, like it's my case, it will inherit this by default, by the way. I will delete it. Okay. Then in my language, I already have this, but I only need for topic. If I also want a template for an item, I will do the same procedure. Just to go meta, I will duplicate this. Okay. Template, article, language. I made the close deletion, and hey, I really like that. But let me readjust, this is way too big. Something like this. I will have an image, sound component, and so on. But we didn't cover the sounds, so no worries. And then right click, template, save as default, and that will be item language. So I save it as a template, the first option, and I set it as a default template for this element type for the selected concept group. If I had no concept group, pointless. So remember to always set the concept first. It says no template, but it's because it doesn't update. If I go back, it says item language. Good feature. It's two actions into one, and the only use case I see is when you create, now that is at the beginning, or you have a new flow. From now on, I will do this, I will do language, or whatever, and you want a dedicated template, you use it. That's why now we are at the end of the course, and we see features that are very convenient, could be redundant in the sense, in this case it's redundant, in the sense that you can achieve the same result using other features with more steps, but it's not something unique that you need to use this feature to get this result, and it's diminishing returns already. Oh, it's convenient, yeah, but how often are you going to do this, right? But there is still some value in templates, if you care to make it pretty. That's why it's the last section of the course. Now we know how to create our own simple templates without messing with components yet. We'll get there, no worries. And we have created a few of them. Nice. We have seen that now if I edit this element, I will affect all of the elements that are using the same template. Actually, it's the feature is about this. Is what you want. Is the actual point. But what if I only want to modify this element and this element alone, and not messing with any other element? I have to detach the template. What means detaching? It's the opposite as applying. So we already have seen in the first section of the templates that with Ctrl-Shift-M, I apply the template. But what if I want to become no template, right? You detach the template. So right-click in the area of the element, template, and detach. And there's the key binding. Apply is the one we have seen. We will see the impose, but now it's the detach. And it says, restore the original looks of the element by disconnecting the template. Disconnecting means unlinking, because keep in mind, SuperMemo works by registries. So it's pointing, hey, this element, which ID is, element number is pam, has this template registry member. So I just unlink it. The same we have done with images, that we unlink the image from the registry, but with templates. It's perhaps a little more abstract, less straightforward, same thing. Hey, it looks the same. Let me go back. It says no template, and now it looks the same. We can actually double check this with right click and view source, template. View source, do you see we cannot view the source? That is because there's no template being applied. How is that? Because we have used before this element to become the template. Therefore, it's exactly the same. Because the blueprint of the template is this precise element. It makes sense. We will see the opposite case later, so it's more obvious to see. So now, if now I change the color to orange, I'm only modifying this element. Meaning that if I do another close deletion, hey, there's a trap here. What happened? I'm using the language, therefore I'm not applying a template by default, therefore I have the archetypal. So let's do it once again. Concept, language, how to apply. Item language. Okay, now we have both language. Nice. So now I will do it for real. Okay. And now looks exactly as before. It's yellow. It's not orange. That's the beauty of this. Then I just change the color. Usually that's not the point. The use case is that I have a very large image, or the ratio is very, panoramic. It breaks the layout. So I will want to break the layout of the template, but only in this case. I can do it. Now that we know how to detach a template, we're going to see a few use cases, which are more or less very similar, but they deserve their spot. So basically, the most common use case is to modify an element without affecting other elements. That, hey, I only want this particular element I have now in the element window, like this one that you see, not all of the elements that use the same template. So what you do is you detach it, and then you can do whatever you want. Why? Because you prevent bulk modification. You don't modify all of the other elements to the template. And therefore, you create distinct content that is unique, because you need an image that is very panoramic. So the ratio in the image component doesn't work, right? And you do it in a different way. one use case. Or that for whatever reason you want to put, I don't know, 20 images, and you don't want 20 image components in a template, right? Something like that. Especially if you have a lot of topics. Imagine you do this, and you affect all of the 20,000. You see, I have 22. Imagine all of them, they have the template updated, when I only wanted to modify one. That's one. Second is to create a new template conveniently. So, hey, now I want to create a brand new template. So what I'm going to do is create it through an element in my collection. So the element I want to become no template, like this one. So I will detach it first, make it look like how I want the template, and what it is, and once it's like this, I will save as template. We have seen that already. So therefore, I need to detach it first. It's just convenience. We could say it's the easiest, more straightforward flow. When you see what you get, so that's why you use one element. It just saves time, basically. An example could be that you have an existing template. You can impose it if you want. We'll see this later. You change the colors to purple. Here you go. In this case, I don't need to remove more components. Let's say for me, this is incremental writing. So when I see this color, that means creative, not reading. So I'm actually typing in the text, not read it. And now I just save it as template. Topic writing. In this case, it was no template already. If it had a template, what I will do, if I go to the previous one, let's assume it was the article, is first, let me detach it, detach template, and now I do the same. I change the color purple, blah, 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 blah. No worries if it says article, that's because it doesn't update. So if I go back, it will say no template. Remember this detail. Nice. Third, fixing an appearance after accidental template application. So basically, if you had this flow, but you messed up, that oopsie, I modified, I didn't remember this, and I realized I modified the template. You can do the opposite. So to fix this, basically. Could be the case of image occlusion, because it's not a template that you work usually, and you have the shape components that are not, you're not that familiar with them. So basically you want to clean up the template, you will do the same. There's no need to do the steps because they will be the same or in opposite order, but this is a use case. So remember, detaching is a previous step for customizing an element one by one, individually, by create convenience to create a new template, or to fix a template that you edited accidentally. More or less, it's for this. And then, the key aspects of Detach Template. You have a loss of inheritance, which that's the purpose, that's what you want. The use cases actually want the loss of the inheritance. Then keeps the current look. It will never revert. Why? Because if you ever change any template, all of the elements that have this template will update accordingly. If it's not template, it will be in the limbo, always like that. No change possible, unless you apply a template. That's actually, again, what you want. And independence, existence. That even if you delete the entire template registry, it will look the same. Because it's independent, it's not template. There's no member affecting. And because of that, the view source, it's grayed out here because it's itself. Since I don't have anything applied, I cannot see the source because it's already the source. So view source have no effect at all. You can not even trigger it. Those are the key considerations of the overall for all the use cases for detaching a template in SuperMemo. Now it's time for imposing template. We actually mentioned this briefly in the prior video with detaching. So here I have, that will be in a slideshow because there's some theory behind that, but let's first execute it. You can use Shift-Control F2. The element has no template attached. Exactly. So in order to impose a template, I need a template applied, right? So this, remember, this is the actual how it looks. Remember, we can have the view source that now, Shift-Control-U, that now it's not possible because that is the source already. So that is how it looks. Okay. So I will be applying the article. Do you see now I get another component, the HTML component is smaller? Awesome. So now I can see that's the source, and that's how it looks with the template applied. So imposing the template is like telling SuperMemo, hey, how it looks now with the template, let it become the source. Hard code this to the element. So Shift-Control F2, override source data with the current template, and then it says which template you have used. Article, say yes. And then, hey, it's asking me to detach it. Huh, why? Wait a second, one at a time. Let's say yes, I want to detach it. Why? Because since I have detached it, that means it's not template now. Even though it looks, cosmetically, it looks exactly the same as the article, is not the article. I have detached it. But now, if I go to the source, this is already the source, once again as before. Do you see? So we have overwritten the source without applying the template. It's still not template. If for whatever reason you still wanted to keep the template, there are some reasons, but that's beyond the Fluency. In the mastery track, we will see why, and the most niche use cases and perks you will get in the registry with members. You could do it. Instead of saying yes, you say no, and that's it. So now we have seen what is the imposing template. And remember, you can do this for any element. So I have used a topic. I could use an item as well. Nice. And just to let you know that there's still some things that I bypass, I'm not covering, which are the template flags, for instance. This will change if I have more components and images, especially if non-empty, or I don't, what will happen? When I impose, the behavior will change. But again, outside of the scope. So the purpose of imposing template is for advanced users, until how it changes the element that is currently a template affecting the source of the template itself. Something we have seen. Hey, the template, the element has a view, perhaps I never seen it, because I always seen it with the template being modified, and then I impose it, meaning what I see will become the source in more plain language. The effect is that when you modify the element, it links to a template, strictly speaking, a template registry member. Then this doesn't do anymore because it's not template. So it has hard-coded the element. This is the element, the component goes to here, is this size, it starts here, has this color, everything is hard-coded. That's why it's independent. You don't need any member from our registry. So impose template allows you to explicitly apply the current element's layout and component properties back to the template it's linked to, overwriting the original template definition. I'm not going to do that, just telling you this, it's possible, because this goes to the mastery. Because we will need some other details. We have only covered answer and a few things like this. there are many things that are beyond the scope. Let's continue with imposing template in SuperMemo. We have seen how it works, the purpose and the effect it has. So important considerations, the same we have done with detaching the template. Then, if you change an element that uses a template and you don't impose the template, typically only a single element will be reflecting the change. This is often the desired behavior to avoid accidental altering many elements. Exactly. Could be the use case that actually want this to affect in bulk all of the members. Let's say that I have been using SuperMemo for language, and I had my regular template with the item template with a sound component. And let's say that I want to get rid of all of the sound components that are empty, which is 99 of the elements now. I could do some features, and then I could use impose template to get rid of that component. Therefore, in that case, I want to affect all of them. But by default, it will affect the one you are doing now. It's what's called local change, not global. Global, all the registry members. Local, the only one you do. If you remember, this is very similar than references. If I choose a reference here, let's say the title, I can do local, only this element, or global, all of the elements in my collection sharing that member. All of the users of that registry member. Oh my god, I'm confusing the jargon. Nice. So when you should use impose template? When you have modified an element that uses a template, remember, that's the very start of the video, first one, that it didn't work because I had the template applied. So that's a requisite. Then, on top of that, you have decided that the changes you made to an element should now become the new definition of the template, affecting all elements that use it. This is how you update, or one of the ways you can update the template. What I could do is detaching the template, then editing, I change the color and whatever, and then I do template, save as template, and I repeat the same name. So article writing, as long as it's there the same name with capital letters, it's case sensitive and so on, then it will ask me to. Do you see it didn't happen now? Very good example. What happened? Let me see. Oh, it's article writing and I said topic writing. That's why it failed. So I had to say topic writing. On top of that, I did a typo. There's a missing I. That's why it's so important. So what I'm going to do is, let me delete this one that I just created, that is dummy. Ha ha ha! Look what it says. How you should delete the effect elements. Because now the elements were linking to this member, well, there's only one. Now what's going to happen? It will become no template. So what do? If you retain the looks, means imposing. Become the source. So whatever it looks now, with this gray HTML component and the background being white, impose that. So this will become the source as the template. Or no. Restore the old looks, so the template was not applied, therefore, how the source looked. Therefore, it's the same as detaching. I think now it's a lot easier, even though we haven't done manually every single case. I think it's with this strategy, it's good enough to follow. If I restore the old looks, it's like, hey, no. I don't want to see how it looks with the template. I would like to see how it looks with the source. Nice. And the other one is, no. How it looks now with the template, I want to see to remain how it looks. Therefore, I will impose it. Awesome. So we will do, restore all looks. Do you see? Now it's deleted. And now let me change the topic writing, the spelling. Just to make my point, that will be article writing. Okay. And now I want this to become what I wanted to do. which I did on purpose, by the way. Most of those videos are not rehearsed, but I prepared the steps so I can show you exactly most of the angles and things could happen in a very condensed manner. And it has to be the same name. This is the what? This is the title or the name of the template registry member. If it's exactly the same, means, hey, this already exists, there's a member with this name, then SuperMemo will tell you, hey, do you want to overwrite it? Do you want to replace it? It's one of the other ways I can update a template, by overwriting it manually. Or I can go to one element that uses that template and modify it without detaching it. It's not one better than the other, depends on what you want to do. At the end of the day, it's purely convenience. So feel free to just use one of the methods. We will see the impose template use cases. I would like to be more specific, but still only mention it. We're not going to do it because I'm missing returns already. Just to let you know, some of the cases that might appear in the future for you is that, hey, now I stopped doing SuperMemo for language learning, let's say, or something in particular that required templates. You had dedicated templates for that, right? So what happens that now that those requirements will decrease. Hey, now I don't need that many components or whatever. I can optimize this workflow. Actually, I have done this after a few years, and what I will need to do is imposing template. Because they will be super heterogenic. Now I want that whatever was not used, so the components are empty, gone. I want all of the elements to look the same now. This could be such, for instance, sound files that, hey, now I got rid of the sounds because I moved this to Anki. So why do I want sound components? They will always be empty, right? Nice. This goes to still even more specific use case, is that first, it's in bulk. I don't want to do this per element. No, I want to do all of the elements from a branch or all of the elements from that are users of the same template. So in my case, imagine this, that all of the Korean 3,340, I want to modify them all and I want to get rid of the sound component. It looks weird, right? If I don't have sound, this is distracting. So what I will do is, first, I will need to do it properly. I will need to set some template flags outside of the scope of this course, and then apply impose template in bulk to get rid of specific components. Then, the last use case is maintenance and error reduction. This is especially useful if you have done templates, saved templates, applied and imposed while you are still learning how they work. So you have a lot of noise, weird things that you are not even aware because it will be in the source view, but you don't see it. You have a template applied, so you're not aware of the dirtiness that there is. You can do it. Or, for instance, if you want to get rid of other templates, meaning now you want to follow the minimum template principle and you want to merge. You had, let's say, 20, and you want to only have 4 templates, but again, on top of that, you don't want to have non-template elements, let's say. Then what you will do during this process will be imposing the template. But let's say that you do it on a Sunday, you do this maintenance, and that's it. So once you're done, you're not going to use impose template anytime soon. That's why, and again, I always repeat this, I know, that is yet another example that it's good to know, but oh my god, now I have to invest a few hours to know how to use the template flags. Only for this? Yes, because in my case, I'm changing more than 20,000 elements. And I know I'm not messing up, because if you don't, you could be deleting images, thousands of images without realizing. You can do a lot of damage. But it is not worth it because this is a very tiny use case and the requisites are higher than usual. So you will need to invest a lot of time just for this. That's why it goes to the mastery track. But I consider that announcing it is important enough at least. So then, among other things, what you could do is to prepare unnecessary components and help receiving spam with so many errors. This is the case if you have used fonts within HTML components or fonts in components that now they don't exist. Let's say it was an HTML component like this one, but then you apply a template that uses a plain text component, you will have issues, errors. So one of the things that you can do, or if you do scripts components, something that is even more niche, you can do it for the sake of not triggering errors. Actually, something that I actually did. So then most of every single element who has a template, it's free. Bug free, error free. And the only that could become problematic, they will become detached, not imposed, detached, so that they are no template. So it's not a big deal. At maximum, I'm only messing with this element, which I can delete or duplicate or solve it anytime. I'm not messing with the collection. Hope it's clear enough. And if it doesn't, no worries. Feel free to continue the course, well, the few videos that are left, because it's not that important. If you're not going to overhaul your collection or do very weird outlier cases in your collection, just knowing what we have seen before, it's enough. Let's continue with imposing template in SuperMemo. So finally, impose template and its deeper meaning. The impose template overrides the source template with the currently applied template looks. Look, this is how you update the definition of the template if you have made changes, and then those changes will propagate. Then, detaching template prompt is key. We have seen this already, but I wanted to do the slideshow so it's easier now to see it because perhaps it was too much information at once. Then, if you answer yes, which is what I did, it's like saying, hey, make this element look the new definition of the template. Update the template. And then disconnect the specific element from the template, so its feature changes won't affect the template. Because now it's no template, it's independent. If you answer no, instead, which is explicitly mentioned but implied, the element remains connected to the now updated template, meaning that I have updated the template, not for this element, but all of the elements, all of the users of that template. So in my case, imagine this article. I have modified 22,719. Oh my god, there's a lot of elements being affected. But on top of that, it's still linked, meaning that if I do further changes, those updates will carry on. The pure difference to saying yes or no in more plain language is I want to update now and that's it, see you never again, or I want to update now but I will continue. That's the 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. No, that's the final version, so I don't care. I hope it's clear enough. And then no worries, I have some examples in the file course, the reaction I did. That was more in depth than here. We covered most of the value already without examples. And in the mastery track, we will see the examples, so we will actually see detaching every use case. Not will just be announced through slides, it will be executed. So it will be more like on your face. But remember, those are already the missing returns, and most of the perks that we're missing, we are skipping, are just convenience. So you are not getting a new feature that you are missing. No. You can get the same result just with more clicks. That's why it's not a big deal. You're missing something, but it's not a big deal. It will be covered in the mastery only. We're going to see why you should have a template naming convention. So a convention that you always follow to name the templates in your registry. Do you see that here there's some convention already, albeit minimal? that is article or its item, then English, Korean, picture, da 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 da. Okay. Then, that's a suggestion. It's not required. First, remember two things we have seen so far in the templates. One is that it goes by element type. So you should specify which element type you're using, item or article. Also remember that instead of topic, we call it article in templates, just because SuperMemo is like this, and we need to follow it, because if you include an image, then, and you have the article, then SuperMemo will ask you, hey, you want to create an image component? Boom. Hey, you want to apply a similar template? It will be the picture. So you need to follow the precise wording. It has to be picture, within a space and so on. So this is hard-coded. We cannot do anything against it. And if you don't do it, you will lose this feature. And this, just a quick reminder, it's on the concepts. This one, auto-apply similar templates, picture, sounds, and so on. So if you don't put picture or sound, it won't work. Remember this. So then, I suggest to have a common is element type, item, instead of topic, article, or task, if you use tasks, then category for you, and variant of the category in case you niche down. So let's see some of the use cases. This is super easy. Item, topic, task. The element type. Why? Because you may have, for instance, template Korean is not the same as an article than an item. Then depends on you. You want first a category, so all of the Korean ones put together, regardless of the element type, or no, first by element type and so on. Since when you apply the template, you need to adjust by the type, I suggest first type, pure convenience. Then category, the broad purpose of the element. Is this for language, is for research, or general custom, or utility, and so on. So in case of lang, I use English or Korean, because I have more than one. If you only have one, then lang could be agnostic to the language. Awesome. Something I had before, in some videos, old videos of mine in my YouTube channel, you will see them in purple. It's like a signaling when I see this. Hey, this background is telling me that the content is not friendly for incremental reading. So, some use case. Then, content type, usually for items. QA, usually you don't say QA. The item implicitly means QA. And close deletion. Or if you are a very hardcore user of close deletion, like me, I do it the other way around. By default, it's the close. And then, no, this is Q&A, if I want to. Or IO for image occlusion. And you could have a Q&A, pick Q&A. But this will be losing what we have said before. So what you want, especially if it's an article, it will be article, picture, right? So the same with item, picture, and then QA. That is not the close deletion. Script and so on, because sometimes you use a template for the sake of a script component that auto triggers outside of the scope of this course. And then variant, hey, without hint, with hint, with audio, without audio, or dark, whatever you want to, or minimal, whatever you have. For instance, I do this when I wanted to do incremental video, so because I had half of the screen, or whatever. So I only had the minimum stuff there. And then you can, some examples that you can have. Item, IO, topic or article. Remember, that's why I left both to be more, to make sure that it's a topic, but we call it article. And you can say, no, I want specifically to be sentence. I want sentence with audios, and so on. The level of nesting, the level of categories, you put it yourself. Number one. So whatever you pick, stay consistent with that. I suggest to use a delimiter. You can use underscore, hyphen, whatever, or camel spelling if you want. And again, start simple and do it incrementally. As the more cases you do with SuperMemo, the more requirements you will have with templates. Then it's a matter of taste how much template you want. So, for instance, Wozniak has different variations of the same template, same background and so on, just that the image is slightly larger or not. I don't care about this. And document your system. So use SuperMemo, include in some topic your own convention. So in case you don't forget or whatever, you can have always the reference. And then don't duplicate, don't modify the defaults. I suggest to keep the defaults and then add your own. Or that's my English or whatever. So if I go to my registry, well, they are deleted, but let me quickly resurrect them. So I did modify the classic, RTF, and so on. If I ever import a collection or whatever, those will be the ones that are used. Not that these are requisite, but it's a very easy step to follow. Just name, don't repeat the name, and only modify the article, item picture, and article picture, those four. And that's about it. Pretty convenient and easy to follow. This is a lot easier than spending time to making the images unique and name the images. This is more time consuming. You're not going to have 3,000 or 20,000 templates. It's just a few, even a few hundred if you will, if you are a power user and you really like templates. It's easy to maintain. You only need to do it once. So that has been all about the template naming registry. That's everything you need to know for the template naming convention in SuperMemo. To make sure that it's a topic, but we call it article, and you can say, no, I want specifically to be sentence. I want sentence with audios, and so on. The level of nesting, the level of categories, you put it yourself. In my case, I keep it simple. Why? There's a rule of thumb. For instance, I have Korean and Korean sound. I want to distinguish this. But on items, I don't. Why? Because the sound is always there. Sorry, Korean. The sound is always there. The article, I do it because I put it only when I use AI to generate a sentence, if I do it manually. Everything else will be, thus, with sound has been imported from Anki. So I didn't do it manually. Therefore, I want the sound so it can be inherited. That's it, when I do the consolations. Nothing other than that. So this is pure convenience through inheritance. That's it. Logman is because of the styling. Now this isn't used, but I used it in the past. Then picture, the default, well, I have modified. Then this video is for the course. Will be the template I will be used for the paid extra of the slides. It will include the video with the annotations, more stuff and flashcards and so on. And this for writing. I have done this during the course. I do it, but in a different collection. And then item, default, it's QA. And close deletion. I use my own convention with text, so I don't need to rely on the template. But I could have set the template, for instance, if I want to quickly group together. Since I have a convention in text, I can already do this, to check the stats and whatever. So for me, there's no need to. Then, this is AI. If you see, it looks the same. It's on purpose, but I just want to know that this was generated through AI. And I want to look the same because I don't want to see it right on my face. That was AI generated. But I don't have a convention. That's why I rely on template level. Then English, different background. I know that, hey, this is a language flashcard, regardless of what it is, if it's a sentence, vocabulary, whatever. The same for Korean. And then item picture required. This is for incremental reading. That is, again, the same structure, only the color is modified. And it's just for my convenience, meaning that in order to answer, I need to check at one picture at least. Like, here's an image of region, frontal lobe, I need to check it to answer the question. Awesome. Then a task, because I barely use tasks. And then this is just to know it's dummy. I want to differentiate topics that are folders and topics that I apply dismissed, so they have content. So this is just to make it a lot quicker, just pure convenience. So you have seen my template registry is like this, because it's adapted to my use cases. That's why before I had no language learning, and I had a lot fewer templates. And that's the rule of thumb. The more templates you have, the more important will be to be consistent. Here's a principle that I coined when I actually was a newbie, and it's the minimum template principle. More or less analogous to the minimum information principle in knowledge formulation, and there's a reason for this. Because you know that in SuperMemo, the templates doesn't work the same as in Anki, so you have to always choose the template you want, or use relying concepts to apply it. It is quite messy because sometimes you have to decide that, I have an image component is larger, this will be the article picture panoramic. No, that is the article picture vertical. No, this is the article math vertical. Article math horizontal. I'm undoing subsections, right? I want to specify a lot. Then all of this is first time that I add for decision. And for searching, even if I follow convention, I will need to search 4 categories: the element type, the category, the variation, and so on. So this is time consuming. And it will be tiring, fatiguing, if I have to do it 100 times a day. If I only have 3, that if I don't do language, which is through a concept, so I never apply that concept, that template. For incremental reading is article, already has an image, so the picture I don't set it ever, and that's it. So for incremental reading, for topics, I never apply templates, because already has an image component. Because even if it says article, already has 2 image components for me. That means that I minimize the times that I will have to do Ctrl-Shift-M and apply a template. It's time I save. What I do is that I have a template that serves most of my flows. So most of the time, I will have redundant components that I don't use. I don't care. Or that they're always the same size. If they're very panoramic or very vertical, they will be very tiny. No worries. You have F9 for that, to open them externally. I prefer the convenience. So I rarely need to think, that doesn't have a template, pum. That's the beauty of the minimum template principle. The maintenance is minimized, the time consuming is minimized, and you reduce the fatigue. And on top of that, you have the perk that most of the time everything will look the same, because you don't have templates. That means that it's easier to just, oh my god, there was a spelling. For instance, this spelling tells you a lot. How much I was staring at the screen, and I needed 3 minutes to realize that. Because I didn't pay attention to that, right? I paid attention semantically, not the precise wording. If you always have the same styling, there are less contextual cues. I remember the answer of that item because the background was purple. The one was white. The other one was green. You are avoiding this. As a side effect, that is welcomed. Everything is gray. So I don't have a color that can change, and my brain can get an anchor and remember that fact. So it's a welcome thing. Super simple. And you spend all of the time just about the content, meaning, and so on, not how it looks. It's not perfect, because sometimes the images, they will need to be stretched or opened manually. And most of the time, they will be empty. No worries, because I don't want the full screen either, because I don't want the saccade movement of the eyes to go that far. So I'm not losing anything either. So depends on you. Feel free to not follow this principle. That's why I didn't put any slideshow, because it's purely subjective. The idea is to have just the minimum. What I had, most of those now are unused. I only use like 6. I use article, Korean, and picture. That's it. And then I use item. Item AI, not anymore. This was through an experiment that I wanted to get flashcards that I didn't verify and see how my performance is. So I'm not going to use it anymore. And then item picture, I don't use it because my item already has the images. So it's item English, item Korean, and because I do language learning. Now, I don't do multiple choice or whatever. And the sound or whatever is only on Korean. Therefore, if I only do incremental reading, I will have article. If I do incremental video, I will have YouTube, and then item. That's it. 3 templates, or 4 templates. Like this one that is just convenience. I will never set this manually. I will do this in bulk time to time. So I'm only deciding between 3 or 4 templates. That's super cheap. And with language learning, just a few more. No big deal. Super easy. And most of them now are through concepts. So I may spend 3 hours in SuperMemo, do more than 100 repetitions, and I only apply template once. I suggest to keep it simple, not minimum, but at least simple. Don't overdo it, and then you have templates that you only use 5 elements or 10 elements. Overkill. But remember, it's subjective. Now it's time for a super good trick you can do in SuperMemo to locate all of the elements that have no template at all. Because if I want some template, I go to the registry, template registry. Hey, I want all of the article pictures. Boom, those are all of the elements that use this template. Easy, right? But hey, wait, I want the other way around. I want to target all of the elements that doesn't use any registry member from the template. We can actually do that. But first, let me change the collection to one smaller. The collection we're going to use in this section, because there are only a few elements. Okay. Then, if I go to my template registry, which more or less I have the same members, if I go to item, none. If I go to item picture, 1. Article picture, 1. And the article, 3. Okay. What about the items that doesn't use any of those? There's a easy solution, and it's this button. Browse all elements using the currently selected registry subset, or the menu, selection, select all. Then TS does exactly the opposite. This is, in plain English, all of the elements which use a template registry member. It's exactly what we don't want. That means that the elements in my collection that are not here are the elements I want. So I will save this, subset save all, and I will call it with template. Awesome. Then, now I go to my priority queue to see all of the elements. And now I select the subset, I want to subtract it. I want to take away the elements with templates. Boom. But yeah, it's given that the folders don't have any template. So I will filter just the memorized. Here you go. So now, just to verify, if I click here, this should be no template. Do you see? No template, no template, no template, and no template. Then, if I do this in my collection, could be that I have hundreds or even thousands. Not thousands, because I have a convention, but I will have some of them. So that's how you locate them. And then it's, hey, let me just take out the topic, and now I do apply, let's say, the item. So the main use case of this to locate the elements with no template is so you can apply it. Or you can do a subset review and see what's there and so on. Then you'll need to repeat the same process and the last step to select topics and then apply the topic template. Is this required? No, not at all. But if you have a flow that for a subset, you want to do a subset of items, or could be this item chemistry, then you do a subset of that. Could have that you have other but are no template, and those are ignored for stuff like that. Then it will be a point that from now on you won't have elements with no template because you're very consistent with the convention. You use concepts, so everything is auto-applied. So it is what I did before, and that's it. From now on, I won't have this requirement anymore. This is how you locate elements with no template, so with the archetypal template, in other words, and then the use cases, what you can do with them. Now we will continue with stylings. So that's the second section that we have with templates. Now we have covered a few other features with templates. Now we need to go already with the styling. We need this now. So we have presented just a very quick summary of what was before. Basically, we have the templates registry, but we also have the style registry. You see, I have the dark, Korean, Longman, and so on. Awesome. So that's what we are going to do. Hey, how we do this? Because everything I have here, it's using the default SuperMemo.css. This tells me how to style an HTML component if nothing is defined. Hey, there's no style member, therefore apply the default. SuperMemo.css. The CSS is inside your installation, usually the C drive SuperMemo. I have 19 because I have other versions installed. And then the bin folder. And here you go, SuperMemo.css. So feel free to customize this, it's HTML. But what we're going to do now is populate the registry. Okay. So in case you didn't know, you have a way to style it. Edit the style. Use the default. No, that's SuperMemo.css. I want a new style sheet. We will call it, I don't know, awesome, colorful. Sometimes I get this, is quite often, the dollar. I don't know why. And then you have this wizard, but it's very limited. Basically, you can go to one of the classes that are reserved, like extract, and then you change the color of the extract. The background color, more or less, is like this shade. Yeah, and you have the preview. Then the font color, it will be white. Awesome. Then SuperMemo, if you remember, if you noticed, updates the layout, updates the interface, but there's no change because this element is using the default SuperMemo.css file, so no big deal. So basically, you could do and edit every single one. Only the font color, the font family, and background color. That's it. And for each class. I will only do exit and closed. Okay. And the font color, I know it was orange, so now it will be red. Sorry, it's the font color. It will be white. And the background color will be red. So it's different. And I will click OK. Awesome. Then now I will create a dummy topic. We will apply a template. No template, please. Because remember, the templates are linking the registry members. If I change the member, I will be affecting all of the templates. Remember, we have seen that on Impose and Detach. That's not what I want. Awesome. So some dummy text. Okay. So now what is this linking? If you want to do it, there's a trick you can do. Text, style, edit file, and you can see which one it is. It's the default one. Okay. Then I will link a new one, style, link style, and the colorful. Okay. Now it looks the same. Why? Because I only modified the color of the closed and the extract. Everything else is the same. So if I now do you see? I made the constellation, the text is even smaller, and dummy So what happened here? That both the extract and the closed are a hard-coded size. So it is modified. That's why I don't suggest ever to use the built-in editor. It's very limited. And just click on edit, and you will see your default app. In my case, it's Notepad, and you can change it in plain text. Because it's using points instead of pixels and many other things, so it's not a big deal. Then I suggest you to just, in case you don't know CSS, which is pretty easy to learn anyways, you can just prompt AI. Hey, I want to look like this, generate the CSS for me, and you paste it here. Just remember that we will see the classes, closed is the one we have changed, but I didn't want Arial Unicode Microsoft that was changed through the wizard against my will, and extract, the same thing. But just to let you know that there are more. So here are the reserved from SuperMemo, but in plain text I can put whatever I want, like the headers. Header 1, header 2, and I still have more. You see the headers? And because before I had this from some websites to also apply some color. You can only achieve this by using the external editor. So we have seen an overview of how you can edit the styles. Within SuperMemo, the very big limitations this has, that I discouraged this to begin from the beginning, and use an external editor. Plain text, if you know HTML, or you can use assistants that you will see the colors and so on, if you are not familiar with HTML. And remember, not everything is supported. Think this as Internet Explorer 9 or some stuff Internet Explorer 7. Very limited. And now you can spend time customizing this. Hey, I want this color, or I want to have some margin, so the color continues a little after the word boundary or whatever. Make it pretty. Now, since this is that last section before the outro, now is the time you invest making it eye candy so it doesn't look ugly, or not as ugly as before. Awesome. We have seen how to now change our styling at will, whatever we want to do. There's something left that, hey, how do I style? For instance here, how do I style this? Now this has the highlight of extracting. No worries, I don't mean this. So why here it's gray? By default, it's what? It's pinkish, right? Okay. Then if I go to the edit, the style, close, extract, headers, ref text, and reference. You need to change this. So now, I will tell you something obscure that you only need to know for this here, and some other obscure features and perks we will get on the mastery track. And it's if you hover, oops, what is this? You have an horizontal line which is transparent, and SuperMemo reference. This text is always hidden. So basically are those. I will save you the time. Ref text and reference A, that is the link. Why? Because sometimes you get hyperlinks like this number, and you could have it in a different, usually it's a different color, blue, or there's a highlight or whatever. That's why I say, no, not even an underline. I want normal. So let's see this. Now I could do blue. So what's going to happen? Here you go. Now it's blue. Pixels. I want to be larger. 16 pixels. Sometimes it doesn't update. Let me go back. Here you go. Now it's larger. Do you see? In this case, ref text, you have background color. The color is gold, that is overwritten then to blue. That's why this has no effect. Okay. Then the background, I can change it. Let's see that I want black. It doesn't work. If I do it here, now it works. I just made this on purpose to just let you know that it's not the same just getting the link, a tag that is for links, of class reference or reference together without the link, than the ref text. That you only wanted to target the link. If I go back to this, one sec. Everything is blue. It's no. I only want the link to be blue. Then I delete this. So it's only the A tag. I refresh, and here you go. Only the links will be blue, in case you want. It's not possible to put article, title, and so on in different colors, because you cannot target those. You have to target all of them together. At least I wanted to show one example of styling, at least for the references, but it's not limited to this. You can customize this for websites you import, to have a dark mode. Everything is already covered in my channel. Feel free to check those videos out before the mastery track is not done. We have seen here already the Fluency. For Fluency, you only need the basics, not this. But some points I want to make an emphasis that, hey, at least something you know, in case this for you is a big deal. The SuperMemo is very ugly. It's triggering you, and at least you can make it pretty to reduce the, at some degree, the friction. That's why I decided to include it. And that, my friend, it's the end of the section, and could say at some degree of the course, because the only thing that is left is the outro. So that has been the very last how-to video of the Fluency track. We are not going to say goodbye. That will be the next section that is special. See you incrementally.